hotline for today, Thursday, the 29th July 2021. As always, really good to be with you. Thank you so much. We know you have choices, but good to have you here with us. This is the hotline.
Emily's views, her position on the issues, her point of view backed up by
I'm short with you.
Here are Emily's
I'm short
views.
with you, I'm not get up.
Yeah, I'm not the part of it. Sometimes you're not even hear the phone.
Forget the Prime Minister for the moment. Put any other person in this video,
Morning, Emily.
which was posted on social media. Put the Chief Justice, Brian Sykes. Put the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Brooks. Put any other person you wish to put in this video. That Shaquille Higgins recorded. Make sure the person you put there is not a
Okay, where
politician.
am I coming from? Where am I coming from?
The problem with the politicians is that we treat them as the dregs of the society.
Oh, so I'm
We
going.
can
Yes, you
say
say that.
anything to
You tell me
them
about
we
me
feel.
last time. We never have now.
We refer
Everything
to
they want
them
up
as
there.
thieves, as liars, as
The
scoundrels,
system they want up there, the computer, the phone
They're
system
supposed
they
to
want
take
update.
because they are public servants.
I'm going to country. Country,
It is
my God.
perhaps one of the worst professions in the world for anybody to
Yeah.
aspire to or to become, because we
No.
treat them like dogs.
Oh,
There's another side to it
Yeah,
because
miss me. come on, you're not for me,
it's
son.
like big state
No, come back here till I want
can
month me
come
stay down
down
there.
on the small man. Big state can use its power
Why don't you not tell us how we pay for?
to cramp people's styles in imaginable ways.
Give me 1,501 and you get
But
them.
let's hold off on that for the moment.
1,500.
Any person in this country who thinks
3 for 1,500.
that this society
All right.
can operate
Now go never start it out and send
without
somebody
some
with it.
level of decency, without some conduct that is not so
1,500, all right.
outrageous and abhorrent that even if you watch something 1 year after it was posted,
All right,
the blood
no problem. I'll
boils
start
in
it out
your
and get
vein
back to you,
like
sir.
fire,
Me tell you which part we pick it, which part,
even
which
when
part
it
you
is
down
not
and carry
hurled
come
at
here.
you. If you think a
Sorry, me have to go
society can
country here.
operate without laws dealing with that, you go
Alright, look for
examine
more.
your head. One of the worst things that anybody can tell
After
somebody
me
in
tell that girl
Jamaica,
I say,
the absolute worst things that cause people to be charged for murder is to tell them to go and extract something from
From
their
my mother. Yeah.
And it is one of the first things that people hurl at others. In a minor disagreement, in a major disagreement, in the byway, in the highway, and now in 21st century world, it gets posted on social media, which is a highway like no other. Social media is a public space, it's a public thoroughfare.
Of course.
So if you record something in your little nook,
And post it.
whether you do it as a selfie or somebody records you and you put it on social media,
Yep.
it becomes a public
Public.
issue.
Yep. You do it and keep to
I
yourself
don't
fine.
believe in any society, none whatsoever, where it's okay at any point in time for anybody to go tell somebody to go do something with their mother. Let me tell you something, man.
That's true, man.
If I'm driving on the road and I bad drive somebody, or they feel I bad drive them and they said that, oh my God, the rage that comes up inside of me.
A real thing.
And
man.
even the Pope would be outraged. The people with the greatest control over their emotions would be outraged. So it is not okay. Never okay, and we must make it very clear. It is not okay for anybody to go record anything and tell anybody, including the Prime Minister, to go and do something with his mother.
That's true.
It is not okay. And if you don't have a problem with it,
It's a disrespect, man.
put the Chief Justice face in it. Put the Chief Justice's name. Replace the person with the Chief Justice. And see if they get a sentence
You don't look at the breakfast.
before the Chief Justice that they don't like. And they come out and they say those things about the Chief Justice. How would you feel? Or put anybody. Put the pastor of your church.
Yeah.
Man. You have a hospital now.
There's a freedom that we're all born with. We're not given the freedom by the Constitution. But no society can be completely free to the point where there are no laws governing what goes on. People, words, cut,
Deep and cut deep.
words incite violence.
Exactly.
And whereas in pre-social media dispensation, when you say something, you say it in your yard and nobody now hear you, except your neighbor,
No, man, them
whose
a run
ears have to be
pipe and thing over
violated by your nastiness. When you know,
And
put
them a
it
run
on
gutter over
social
there, so.
media. A lot of dangers come with it. We cannot continue to live in a world, and I've been saying it for the longest while. You cannot call me on this station. You cannot call any other traditional media and say the things that you're allowed to say on social media. How can it be? We cannot continue to operate in a space that is ungoverned.
Do 1 year of that.
It is going to lead to our downfall.
1 year.
1 year of
And it is going to normalize indecency.
A year we also.
You
And
want to
nothing
catch
to
all of
this
this,
issue
you know.
of
Beg
bad
Willow,
words.
beg Willow shoot it, help shoot it up for you.
Because anybody who wants to trivialize this to bad word,
Yeah.
based on this
Anything
utterance of
like-
this young man,
like when
Shaquille
they-
Higgins,
Yeah.
you've lost the plot.
Willow! Where you going
The
with?
most lenient part of what this young man said was the bad word. And I don't consider it a bad word, as a matter of fact, because no word is bad. Words by themselves have no meaning. It is in the context that they're used that one determines what exactly was intended. But in absolutely no situation whatsoever, none
Remember for sure to early out there.
whatsoever, is an admonition to go and do something with your mother. Can it have a pleasant meaning? None.
That's true, man. That's big disrespect, man.
And in this society, and indeed in a lot of Caribbean and African society, in no society
You can't find the key.
can you reference to somebody as a homosexual within our cultural context be flattering. And even that is so wrong, because the science is telling us now that in many instances homosexuality is not a choice. And even if it is a choice, we go back to freedom to choose,
Willow, come on, yeah.
where freedom is not impacting anybody else. And it's fundamentally different from
That's
the
why I
freedom
make sure
to
I
say
send it
whatever
out
you
the key
want
and
to
him get
say,
to let him in.
and you say a thing that is so culturally offensive that it incites
Yeah.
violence.
Yeah.
It incites people to do harm to you.
I'll always listen to Emily.
And in this context too, that is politically charged, When you go and say something about a prime minister that belongs to a particular party and you post yourself on social media, you don't think that when you walk the road, people from the other side may say, the boy, this is something about the prime minister.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
Some people are stupid.
I'm telling you, as much as we are very liberal,
Yeah.
there are good reasons for some laws. Decency, a correct pattern of behavior, and some things that are culturally offensive, they are culturally offensive for a particular reason and will remain so. And one of those is to tell somebody what that young man told the prime minister to do.
Big disrespect, man.
If the prime minister were, if he'd said it quietly, then nobody would have heard it. If he had said it in this little community with this young boy who was there with him, nobody would have heard it. He would have infuriated no one. He would have let off his steam and he could have gone to his bed, and you know, the curfew restrictions would stop him from going to whatever session he wants to go to, but it doesn't become a big issue. But when he puts it out to the world, months from now when people watch it, people are going to be upset, because when I watch it, I was livid. Because I'm thinking, if this young man had said this about me, send me go do this thing, I would be quite upset. And more than upset, if he was standing in front of some people, then floor him.
Yeah.
That is the reaction that phrase evoking people in this context.
To say to the prime minister, to the opposition leader,
And we need to
disrespect,
tell
to say
people
to
it is
anybody,
not okay to talk to
not
people
okay.
that way. It is never okay.
I make Miss Jackson Miller know that too.
And when you do it, saying things on social media is talking to an unseen
Yeah,
audience.
Goral Tracy
That is
know that too.
millions.
Yeah.
The police must be reminded and must be chastised that they don't have the right to act as they wish in whatever circumstances. Where they feel a law has been broken, or whether they feel whatever it is they feel. You don't have the right to do some things.
I just feel like certain things, then they do it out a good gesture still.
So,
You know, I got to bash them still, but
this
the
statement
law,
that
I
they put
have
out
certain
about
things
the
about the
reason
law
they
where
detained the young
I've
man,
like a
it may
thing
very well
about
be
it.
true. But I'm not prepared to believe it now because of the other video that came with the apology. And the thing is, nowhere in the law, if they were detaining him, and I do not know that they can detain him for what he said, however offensive what he said was, you can charge him.
Yeah.
I don't know that they can lock him up, rather. You can charge him. For that thing. He could be charged for that thing because it's something that is prescribed by law. But I don't know that you can even hold him overnight for that, because the law does not allow you to do that. So you really have to watch what you do, police, especially we're in the upper house of Parliament, in the Senate. The narrative has been that Andrew Holness is the head of some bad man government. That is what has been said up there, and I brought it here to your attention many times before. And when the police act in this way, it will give credence to an unfounded argument. Because if you dissect the instances where this comes, the instances where this particular thing comes, then you would know that there's not enough to support that line. That young man who was seen breaching the peace, well, going out of door outside and said he was not going in at a certain time. And he did curse the Prime Minister. But from what I understand, he was detained for breaching the curfew.
Yeah, different something that.
of something of the sort. So what mattered was the time at which the video was recorded and whether he really was outside after curfew hours. So we would need a lot more
evidence.
Well, what we have at the moment from the police in relation to the Shaquille Higgins video is enough for us to say to the police, even if you think you question this man about some issue that in which he's a person of interest, then the apology that he was asked to give, it doesn't match the sentiment that you were questioning him in relation to some burglary or some larceny. I'm not even sure which one they say it is. So you have to watch it, police, because you in your own ways can undermine the rule of law.
Yeah.
And part of the problem as well, when we go back to Big State, we had a situation where we had a sitting member of parliament, Everett Warmington, who, when he was approached by the police on Labor Day, was on his phone calling somebody he was naming as Horace and making a complaint to Horace about this boy who was in front of him and who was drawing gun upon him and telling him whatever, and he's telling the boy who happens to the police that he's exempt.
Exactly.
And he's tired of it. And he went on to say that the police drew his whatever gun. Yeah? And we found fault with that. We found fault with it because we thought, based on what we saw, there was probably enough there for a charge of some sort, and none came. So the police, you've got to be careful about the signals that you send, because we're at liberty to read a lot that can undermine the rule of law. And you have to clear up this matter completely about why you detained this young man. Mark you, I am not saying at all at this moment that what he did is not something, if he's had something before, I am not saying it's not something for which he could be charged. Because I repeat, I do not want to live in any society where anybody, whether on social media or otherwise, face to face can think it okay to tell people to do something with their mother.
And that going to happen now.
It is wrong.
And that going to start
And in
happen.
this context, you will get licked down
No
for
law,
it.
no law, no definitely protect that.
It makes people angry.
So the
It's best
indiscipline
you
just
use the
gone
swear
one
words
more
to
level.
people than to go tell them to do that.
Yeah.
No society can function without good social order and without us proscribing some things and some words used in whatever context. They're just not to be allowed. And that is one of the phrases, nowhere at all must it be allowed. And there must be a law that maintains the good order of society by ensuring that in all instances where this phrase, which is not open to interpretation based on the circumstances because there's no good context of saying it,
And the
that
S
it can be
mother.
criminalized.
And the
You
S
either get
mother.
a fine,
S
and
out
if you
your
can't pay
mother.
the fine, you go do time with or without hard labor. And I call again for a look into what goes on social media. We cannot continue to operate where anything goes on these platforms. You cannot call me on this station and say some things, but you're allowed to go on social media and do it? Why? We need order. Even in the midst of freedom, without order, we absolutely perish as a people.
True.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about what you call bad words. I don't think that they are bad. But this other thing that was said is worse than anything. that you could tell somebody to do. We hope to get clarity from the police. Real clarity from the police on this situation, lest the actions of the police completely undermine the concept on which we live, on which we thrive, which is that of the rule of law.
That is your mother, your father, station. Hey, mama. Hi, mama.
Oh my, oh my.
Good word evidence.